we're thrilled to have you in the room with us today. And we are so excited to congratulate all of our graduates this year, and we want to start there with our congratulations and celebration for these 17 folks who are finishing up their journey. It is always hard to choose 5. All 17 of these fantastic students have amazing stories, have learned incredible things, have touched our hearts and impressed us as they have learned and grown, as they have collaborated with us and with each other. Would that we could have them all share, but we are thrilled to be able to celebrate these 5 in particular, and to hear from them, not as representative of the program, but the representative of their experience, which does speak to the broad ways that this program moves, the way that students come and shape it by their experiences. And so really, really glad to have these speakers. And here's the order we're going to take on today. We're going to have Rachel kick us off. Then Summer Gar is going to follow her, Logan Meyer, Evan Toohey, Bryce Parr, those 5. And they are speaking for 5 minutes. Their slides are going to auto advance. That keeps them on task and on time. When they are finished, I am excited to announce a bonus presentation, after which we will have some time for Q&A with all of you in the room. So with that, I want to relinquish the screen, turn the time to Rachel, invite you all to have a nice, lively back channel discussion in the chat as we listen to Rachel's lightning talk. Take it away.
All right, let me get this up quick. See if I can do this again. Okay. All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. So firstly, thank you guys for having me. I'm not going to lie. My immediate reaction when Mitch asked me to give this talk was, why me? And my mom was like, Rach, because you're awesome, honey. And I know she has to say that. But as I started outlining this talk, I realized just how many things I really do have to share. So I started out at Stout in the industrial design program, and I landed here in Pcem after I stopped by this annual lightning talk at the end of my freshman year. So talking here tonight is so full circle. I had heard so many grads come over from the School of Art and Design, and it really inspired me to redirect my creativity from designing products to telling stories. So I did really love my time in industrial design, but I couldn't help but feel like I was being squeezed into a box. You know, when you graduate from the industrial design program, you become an industrial designer, which of course is not fully the case for any program, but I just couldn't help but feel a little suffocated. And then not only did industrial design limit my career options, but while I was in the program, I just felt drained. I finally realized it was my love for conversation and connecting with other people that I was missing. And when I made the switch to Pcem, honestly, my cup just started to overflow. So I have always had a really strong desire to work with kids, and I was having a hard time making that fit in the way that I wanted it to within the things that I'd been doing here in Pcem. And last fall, I was introduced to speech-language pathology, so I shadowed at Foundations Therapy here in Menominee, or there in Menominee, I guess. But and after like a 2-hour session, I was sold, and I cannot wait to start diving into my coursework. So if I have learned anything over the past 3 years, it's that I value my relationships with others more than anything in the whole world. And I know that and believe that communication is the backbone to all of our relationships. So helping people foster their relationships through their communication skills would be a dream. And I know that my Pcem background is going to support me in helping others overcome their communication barriers. Okay, so I started my freshman year in a major that wasn't for me, a job I didn't like, and I joined clubs that genuinely didn't interest me. And just don't do this if you're an incoming freshman. I promise that there are things that you can do to fill your time that you'll love and that you can also put on your resume and that most likely relate to Pcem in some shape or form, which is why I fell in love with Pcem to start with, because it has the ability to be a direct reflection of all the things that make you you. And I want to share some of the things that I did at Stout and in this program to help me pursue my passions and learn a little bit more about myself. So I took this position in the MSc my sophomore year, and it introduced me to the science and the art of social media. This was one of the first times that I took a position because I genuinely wanted to and not because I thought it was like the right thing to do, which I had done for most of my life. And it helped me dip my toes in creating content for many different audiences. Okay, so Sifting and Thrifting is my baby, and it was born out of my absolute love for thrift shopping. It's turned into a platform where I can not only make money, but also raise awareness for ethical and sustainable fashion and fight against our culture of consumerism, which I'm incredibly passionate about. And then for those of you guys that don't know, I thrift gently used and vintage clothing. I repurpose them and then I resell them on my Instagram platform, which I've created a brand and post content almost daily. So feel free to check that out. It's at Sifting X Thrifting Co. on Instagram if you feel so inclined. Okay, so then Prometheus is such a beautiful mesh of literature and art, which are two of my favorite things. I honestly didn't intend to join a publication on campus, but when I heard about Prometheus, I was drawn right in. And also, we're looking for an editor next year, so if anyone's interested or has recommendations, please let me know. I'll connect with you. So my time at OC Creative was pretty much the perfect Pcem internship. I handled client relations. I even got to play director on set a couple times. It was overall just a great experience, and it showed me how energetic and uplifting a work environment can be. Okay, so then I took this internship at my local Chamber of Commerce because I really wanted to give back to my hometown, and I was able to plan and work behind the scenes at some of the exact same events that I grew up going to every single year with my family, and it was just really rewarding. If you grew up in a supportive community, I definitely recommend doing something like this. Okay, so there's so many things that I wish I could have talked about tonight, like my study abroad experience, some of the projects I did in the program, all of our opportunities to get articles published, our inspiring advisement meetings. There's so many things, but I really just want to thank my professors for helping me get here, and mostly Mitch for encouraging me to give Pcem a try and just guiding me every step of the way. So thank you. I hope you stuck with me through all that.
I wish there was a way to applaud. I guess
Oh, thank you.
we can do our sign language applause.
Got it.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. So, Summer, you are up. Yep, very good.
All right, perfect. For those who don't know me, I'm Summer Gar. I'm in the applied journalism concentration, and I came into the program my freshman year. I transferred in from the business program. I know coming in my freshman year, I always had to do those big skyscrapers in Minneapolis. I wanted to be an accountant. Absolutely wrong decision. I hated math. I sucked at econ. I hated accounting. I needed to find a way out, and I did not know what to do because I had never considered any other path. I didn't know who to talk to really about it because I shared so many different interests with so many different people. So I sat down with an advisor, and she just asked me about all my different hobbies that I like to do aside from playing sports or video games and things like that, because I knew I was never going to be good enough for a career like that. So we talked about going into book publishing because one of my biggest passions is I love reading. I love holding a physical copy of a book in my hand. It's one of the best relief things for me, and getting to work in the industry that produces the things that I love to do and read was extremely exciting for me. So my advisor told me to set up a class going into my second semester, and I took mass communication with Dr. Kate. And I remember sitting down, did not know a single person in the room because I'd been taking business classes, and I fell in love with the class. She was the reason I decided to change to Pcem, and Pcem changed my way of school. I enjoyed going to class. I actually enjoyed doing the homework, well, as much as you can when it comes to homework. I was more interactive in class, and the classes were more interactive altogether. So it was a lot more exciting. And I actually found that some of my favorite classes for the content creating were writing for the internet, applied journalism seminar, Dr. Kate as well, the capstone class, usability design and testing, and fiction to film. I don't necessarily want to be the one creating the content though, so I more so preferred my classes that involved working with content that has already been created, such as doc design, editing processes and practices, and transnational professional communications. But there are also classes that I now get to use in the job I have been offered. I actually, through my time in PCEM, I've gotten my concentration in applied journalism. I have a healthcare communications applied field because I considered going into healthcare for a while. Acquired my English writing, literature, and coaching. I then did a field experience with Ozark Mountain Publishing and accepted a job with Ozark Mountain Publishing. Ozark Mountain Publishing, they are two different presses. One is mainly nonfiction, metaphysical, and spiritual books. The other one is fiction and nonfiction for youth and teens. And we also have texts in 20 different languages sold in 40 countries all over the world. My position with them is desktop publisher. I did this as an intern field as well with them. This is the position I was in and accepted the job offer at the end of my field experience. I do a lot of doc design for them and formatting and templates for the books and ebooks. These are actually some of the titles I've worked on, and I've gotten to work with translators. I work close with our editor, and actually my first project with them was in Ukrainian, which I can't read at all, so it was very, very difficult, but I did my best. So I would say is this is not something that sparked my interest right away. I was very skeptical about taking an internship or a field experience with them because I'm not religious. I don't necessarily believe in all of the things they write about, but the lady that I talked to about the position was very passionate about it and kept talking about it the whole time. So my advice is don't wait to find an internship like I did. Utilize the friends that you have to get those internships. Don't be skeptical and enjoy it because it goes by super fast. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you, Pcem.
Thank you, Summer. That is great. If you will release your screen, Summer. Logan, you are up next.
All right. Can you guys hear me all right? I just unmuted my mic.
I can hear you.
Perfect. Share entire screen. Share. And then can you guys see my slideshow?
I see my Pcem experience.
All right, perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Logan Myrie. I know many of you, and I'm sure many of you know me. But I'm just going to kind of list a bunch of the cool stuff that I got involved in during my time at Pcem, and then talk about why I think Pcem is such an important major for diversifying your interests and hobbies and finding a career that fits for you. So when I first came to Stout, I really wanted to be a journalist. I read off from freshman year. I joined Pcem, and I thought I was gonna, graduate after 4 years and go work for a big newspaper. So I applied for the Stoutonia, which would be my first experience working as a journalist at all. I'd never written any sort of newspaper articles or anything. And so I applied for the sports writer position, and I went to interview with the former sports editor, Matt Snell, and I dressed very nicely with my tie and my dress shirt, and he was in a Packers jersey because it was Sunday. And so it was kind of awkward. I felt very overdressed, but I got the job, and I wrote a lot of good articles that I'm really proud of. And after a semester of doing that, I became the sports editor. And I did that for 3 semesters, where I wrote a bunch of stories that I still am really, really proud of, including this one that's up on screen about Stout's sports information director, Lane Pitt. And so that kind of led into this internship that I got with the Monroe County Herald, where I wrote full-time for an entire summer as a journalist. And it was super informative about, whether or not I really wanted to do journalism, but also I got to write and meet just a ton of really interesting people, like this high schooler who was making all of this money playing Call of Duty for a living, and I was very jealous of him. And so my junior year, I spent my junior year as the editor-in-chief of the Stoutonia, and we wrote a lot of articles that year that I still am super proud of, and I'm really proud of everyone on that team. And I wrote this article about the game design students and this concept of crunch, and it was really interesting. I got to talk to a bunch of people and professors. But at then, I kind of wanted to start diversifying my interest. I wasn't so sure if I wanted to be a journalist anymore. So I got invested in photography and video, and I took a bunch of classes at Stout, which is really good because we have this applied field where I could do that. And so I got super invested in that. And then, I started to get interested in podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. And so, I started a podcast with my friend Eric from Pcem, and we've been running that podcast for a half. It's about video games. And then this one on the left, the Blue Devil podcast, we started with some Pcem students as well. And that was super awesome. And we interviewed a bunch of professors, including Dr. Sparts. And we talked to Dr. Arthur Neeland, or Professor Arthur Neeland, about climate change. And it was amazing. And, along those lines, I got this technical writing internship with the Royal Credit Union that I've been doing for this entire past year, including right now remotely. And I never thought I would want to be a technical writer. I thought it sounded boring. I didn't want to write about toilets at Kohler or anything. And it's turned out to be this just amazing experience that I've been doing for an entire year. And I don't know if I want to be a tech writer, but now I have those skills. So I guess my point is that Pcem is this amazing major because you get to do these things. I can come in and write, but I also have to, I can do video, I can do tech writing, and all, I get to do all these things. And so I want to talk about some of the classes that I took in Pcem that I think really exemplify this point of kind of learning new things. So UX, usability design and testing with Dr. Sparts, really made me think about creating content in a different way, and sort of in a more scientific way, data driven and doing usability tests. And I really thought that class was amazing. And now that's a skill that's highly sought after. Including digital storytelling with Mitch, because we got to tell stories that were super creative and fun, but we had to do them in these non-traditional ways, including this this Twine game that we made, which was this branching narrative that I had a ton of fun making. Another class that I thought was super important is document design, which I'm not really a graphic designer. I don't have a lot of artistic skills, I think, but that class sort of forced me to think about the way the information is presented, more visually. And so this is a thing I redesigned for the hospital my mom works at. And I actually think it turned out really well. And I got acquainted with InDesign, and that was a class I never thought I would like, but I thought was super, good. And then finally, writing for the internet with Dr. Greg. And that class was great because, we had to collaborate. It was Pcem students and graphic design students. And I worked on this team of 3 graphic design students to redesign this website for the study abroad office. And my time in Pcem has been really amazing. It's all of these amazing things. But even if I end up working as an accountant or something, my girlfriend of almost 2 years swiped right on me on Tinder, specifically because we had a Pcem class together. So at least I have that. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening, and I hope that this was informative.
Thank you, Logan. Fantastic.
And I'll stop sharing.
I love it. Evan, you are up.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Let's see. Can people see my screen?
Yes.
All
Yes, we
right.
can.
Okay, well, before I get started here really quickly, I just want to say that this whole experience of creating this this presentation has been really surreal for me, because I feel like it's very hard to put all of my 4 years into 20 slides. So I just kind of like listed a lot of things I've done that I'm really proud of. But I just want to say thank you to all the professors and all the students and everyone that I've worked with over my 4 years. It was an amazing ride. Really quickly, one thing I found from my whole high school email was this is the first email Mitch ever sent me when I was in high school when I first applied to Stout. Come to find out later, this is just an automated email, but I still thought it was pretty cool to share. And now look where we're sitting. So there's been so many classes that I've taken over my 4 years, and I can't really accurately talk about all of them because all of them were so impactful in so many different ways. But I picked 3 that really stood out to me in many different ways. So the first one that stood out to me was document design. Now, document design was really cool because I like Logan had said, I was never really good at like Photoshop or graphic design or anything like that. So it was cool to be able to have to kind of learn that type of thing and take information and put it into something that people are going to look at. And I really enjoyed doing that. Writing for the internet gave me one of my favorite projects I ever got to do. Writing this newsletter for the fantasy football group that I was involved in. I was able to create this newsletter every week and send it to them through email. I really like this because it really allowed me to find my voice. My voice, I realized, was very like fun, lighthearted, and I really enjoyed doing that. And then lastly, of course, I studied abroad in Scotland, so storytelling in a different way. Mitch, being able to take that with Mitch was really cool because he really allowed us to kind of find our own stories. We would go out into the city and find what interested us, and I really enjoyed that. So not only have I taken many classes over my time here, but I've also have a lot of different work and travel experiences over my time. So I'm going to share about those. So I started off my freshman year, the first day of, I guess, the backyard bash, or maybe the second day. I applied to be the writer at the Stoutonia, and these are a couple of stories that I initially wrote, and I'm really proud of, and I really enjoy doing that. But eventually, I transitioned over to the Stoutonia editor 2 years ago, so I've been the editor for 2 years now. On the right is a picture of Jeff Haziga, a former Minnesota Viking, and it was really cool because I got to interview him, and it all kind of came full circle of my time with the Stoutonia. And on the left is our most recent. And I just want to say that I'm so proud of the work that we've put in especially the last year, with all the things that we've been doing, and especially with what's going on right now, we've really pulled together, and it's been really amazing. We've also been transitioning to video production, and that's something that I really have been enjoying and really been having fun and showing our creative side. On the left is me and Beth creating a Cribs spoof of our office, and on the right is Evan on the Spot. A couple things that I'm really proud of, and I really enjoyed that we did. And of course, I studied abroad, and honestly, I could probably make 20 slides about this. It was just the most amazing experience. I loved every minute of it, and obviously, I wish I could go back sometime. So that transitioned me to be the education abroad assistant. I work with the study abroad office right now. I work with their social media. I make posts. I also advise students and kind of give them the same advice that I got when I was studying abroad. That is also a very surreal experience when you are helping other students kind of achieve their goals of studying abroad, and that's been really fulfilling. Another thing I was able to do that I was kind of surprised that I got to do is this past year I was offered a teaching assistant position with the HCFS office with the Lifespan Sexuality course, and it's been really cool to kind of see the other side, being able to teach students, not just be a student, but now teaching students has been really cool, and among that I've met some amazing friends too. So some of the creative projects that I've worked on over my past 4 years, I couldn't fit them all in here, but here's just a few that I'm really proud of and I really enjoyed working on. I was able to, for my video production course, I was able to create a documentary about 2 brothers that go to Stout that create syrup, and it was really cool to kind of capture their bond and the way they make the syrup and the entire thing. I was really proud of this specific thing that I made here. Also, the Blue Devil podcast that Logan just talked about, that is one of my proudest things that I have ever done for my 4 years at Stout. I think the thing I loved about it the most is it just really was like 5 friends just talking, and I really am proud of all the content we made for that. A couple of my favorite episodes, really quickly. One of my favorite ones is the one we did with Dr. Sparks, and hearing about his crazy college years and everything in between. And I also really enjoyed the Your Turn Stout episode because I really felt that it was a really impactful amazing episode that we did. I'm really, really proud of all the episodes that we made over our time. The creative works, I was able to create a couple short stories. I was able to create a murder mystery story through the creative writing course. I was able to create a futuristic type of story. And on the right is a screenplay I'm working on right now for an independent study course that I'm working on with Dr. Kevin Derzakowski. And so just some things I'm really, really proud of over my time here. And then, of course, I don't think all of this would have been completely worth it if it wasn't for all of the friendships that I've made over my time. And if nothing else, kind of like Logan said, I have all these amazing people that helped me through my journey. And I could just talk about all of them for forever because it's just been amazing. But final thoughts, really, I want to thank all the professors, all the students, everyone. It's been a really awesome ride, and I'm really, really proud of all the work that we've all done. And congratulations to all of us that are graduating. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Evan. Applause is coming in the chat window. Bryce, are you ready to run the world?
Yep. Can you see it?
I can see it.
Cool. A moment. My screen is monitored on something else because I shattered mine. All right. So to start from my Pcem journey, it's been quite a long time actually, because I started in a different program. So I'm a transfer student, like actually many of us. So I transferred from the GDD CS program. I was a code monkey, basically. I was programming for game design. I was the team lead programmer for one game while during my freshman year, but it kind of bored me. I wasn't quite a big fan of all the work that goes into one day of excitement, the release day. And then there was my first appearance in the Soutonia while I was still in GDDCS, and it was about vaping, which is really silly to look back on because I'm going to soapbox for a moment, but don't start smoking or vaping. It's expensive and dumb. But that was a story for Megan Hazaga. She was writing for the Stoutonia News at the time, and she pushed me to join Pcem, and so did Mitch in his fiction and film class. That's really where it started, and that's an old picture, a terrible render, and one of our staff profile things for the Stoutonia. But I took the risk, and that's something that I like to tell people when they ask for advice, just take the risk. So I hopped over to Pcem, and in every class, it's great because rhetoric is really at the bottom of it all. Everything's kind of an argument. So how can you take ethos, pathos, and logos and apply it to whatever you're creating at the time? And that's a good place to start, and that's why it's in every class. So that's something that really stood out through all of it. Some of the other classes, I mean, Dr. Spart's style and then the structure of English courses, they're the nitty-gritty language stuff. It's really down to the core where you find where you write well. Writing for the internet, it was just fun. A lot of different types of genres of projects, and I made a bot that made fun of LaCroix. A few others were mentioned on there, but every class kind of had gems that really brought me up to speed. But then tech writing, I was trying to avoid it. Mitch disagreed and basically made me go into writing for content management or digital humanities, and I chose content management. But honestly, learning how to write modularly is one of the most important things you can do. And while you're going through all these classes, you've got to be making connections too. I've been referred to some jobs and opportunities by professors, peers, and other community members, the people I work with, alumni, a lot of people outside of the program as well. So since I came in as entertainment editor, I work with a lot of art students, not just in classes, the Stoutonia and Pepper. That's Logan and I Logan brought me into Pepper at the start, and then from there I grew more connections. But then off-campus involvement as well, getting involved in the community. I joined a band my freshman year, been with them ever since. So onto the Stoutonia, I'm directly applying my writing skills while making connections with the people I interviewed, and that was at the start. And now it's like the content management stuff really comes into play now because we switched to online. So we have the whole new site redesign, and then I won some awards for some of the stories I've written in the past. Pepper was combining journalism with creative stuff. So I interviewed some musicians on the left there, and then on the right, I was when the CIA was losing field agents a few years back in China. I made took all that information and put it into like a creative press release kind of thing. But in the end, take the risks. I personally learn the most from failure. I can learn from classes, but as soon as I screw up, I know, okay, so I got to approach it differently. I overloaded myself last semester and had to withdraw from a class. I've also learned that I'm not good at that. There's never so many people that just can't recognize their own strengths. And I'd interview people and they'd come in and say, I didn't think I'd be any good at that job. Meanwhile, I'm impressed with their skills before any real experience is shown. So I've learned that I love working with multimedia. Just put all the media together, different types of stuff, and I'd love to manage that. But I got to stay sane. So I found an old camera right after Eric Krause did, kind of bandwagoning. But I've been shooting a lot of photography just for myself on the side, especially during this quarantine time, to stay sane. The pack of cigarettes there, don't smoke. So what's next? It's busy, especially with all of this, but launching projects and building a portfolio, hopefully in media management somewhere. That's about where I'm going next. I would like to thank everybody in the program because I don't know, it really made it feel like home and a good launching point to create what I want to create. And I can't get out of the presentation.
Thank you, Brian. Do you see the stop sharing?
No, it froze just a moment.
All right, no problem. So I will, just for a brief moment, take the screen over again to announce bonus presentation. So you came for 5 and you're going to get 6. And so I am happy to introduce another of our graduating seniors, Brennan Chikalski, who is going to share with us one small section of his digital humanities capstone project. Brennan is creating a video memoir that chronicles his 4 years as a student at UW Stout. And so he's right in the middle of editing, and he agreed to offer this world premiere sneak peek of his project. So I'm going to go ahead, Brendan, and let you take over the screen.
Okay.
And his segment is also about 5 minutes. So when he is done, then we're going to have 10 minutes together for some Q&A with everybody who is here in the room with us.
So it may take a second to launch because it's a big file, but like Mitch said, it's about 5 minutes introduction into the doc or the video that I'm making. So here it goes. It'll just take a second to play.
It's coming. Okay, Bren. Bren's going to try a new shoot that he's been doing here. Whoa! You made it! All right.
My turn.
You're going to try the big hill?
It's my turn now.
Whose turn?
Me.
To do what?
To growing up, life is easy. And for me, a kid from rural Wisconsin, from a town of 700 people, the majority of my days I would describe as unplanned.
What happened?
For the most part, it was just one day after another, doing whatever I wanted to do.
Here's Brennan. Brennan, how old are you?
5 years old.
And what's the special day today?
Christmas, and I had a and I enjoyed it.
And I was a lot like all the other kids, I had friends and siblings, a stable home life, a loving family. I mean, I was happy. I was happy.
Brennan's great now. Oh my God. And help Connor get the mud off the Brennan, get off the tree, quick.
The only thing that was actually difficult about my upbringing was the actual growing up part. I mean, you can't be a kid forever, and everyone's going to face that truth. And for some people, that happens sooner in life, and for others, it happens later in life. But for me, I know that I officially stopped being a kid when I was 15 years old. That was when my life changed.
Wait, did you want those?
To paint the picture of when I was 15, these were the circumstances that I was dealing with. My parents were in the midst of a nasty divorce. My sister was leaving. She was off to college. My mom and I, we did not get along. I was just in a situation where I didn't know who to believe or what side to take, because as a kid, you are not expected to take sides. You think that your family's going to stay together forever. And of course, in life, there are always worse cards to be dealt. I mean, I could have grown up in poverty or poor health or had a bad home life, and I didn't have any of those things, but fuck, what happened? Everyone's going to react to a hard situation differently, and for me, I reacted with anger, and I was just so pissed off that I projected that anger onto other people. So I would bully and ridicule my brother, and I was annoyed by my sister. I mean, I just had an actual disdain for my family, because in my eyes, it was their fault that I was feeling this way. I just wanted them to feel as badly as I did, and that's just messed up.
The driveway. Say, well, come on to our house. Air taping. There's our house. Still being worked on. Can you climb up there? This is Allison's room right here.
And this is my closet.
Where's Bren's room?
No, this is my brother's room.
Nice.
My home. Once a place of joy and family and being together, it just became toxic. I needed an escape, and for the majority of high school, I was waiting for that escape, and college was that escape. So, And that's it. That's the first 5 minutes. All right. There we go. Stop sharing.
Fantastic. Thanks, Brendan. There it is. 4 years, world premiere. Will be set to debut in mid-May, right?
Yep. Yeah. Next couple weeks.
Hey, so I want to say again, congratulations to all for all the hard work, all the great learning. We are scattered all over the place, but I'm celebrating you every day. I'm thinking about the excitement of this Saturday's commencement, and there's nothing to me diminished about. I just wish I could see you and be with you and give you a high five. But I want to also make sure we have some time to ask some questions. So if you're in the room, you feel free to raise your hand or turn on your microphone and ask a question of any of our presenters today. Any questions for the presenters? All right, I'll ask one.
I'll ask one.
Here comes John. Here comes John.
You had to know it was going to happen. So I'm just curious, from the 6 presenters, one of the things we talk about in the program is strategies that we can take to get more students to recognize how awesome Pcem is, and to get students to come over and join the ranks. And just wondering if you would have any advice for us as faculty about how we might go about explaining to people what it is, considering professional communication and emerging media doesn't really mean anything to anyone.
I think the focus on content is really good. The fact that because I was originally brought in because I enjoyed writing, and people were like, "Oh, you're a good writer. You should try writing." So that was the major that really lined up with it. But as I'm graduating, there's so much more to it. And I think I don't know how you would focus in on the content side of things, but I mean, I've loved managing all different types of media with the audio stories, video stuff, print publications, online content, and I don't know if there's a way to kind of show all of it. But everyone who presented today kind of took a different route as well. So,
one thing I will say, kind of to add on to what Bryce is saying, is that I think that Pcem is so interesting. Like, the classes that we get to take are so unique, and we do so many different things. I think highlighting the classes that we are taking, because a lot of the stuff that we do it's really we're working on stuff. We're in class projects, all that. I think that really draws to a lot of people. I think focusing on that could be a really, really good thing, because there are some classes I never really would have thought I would have taken that I got to take here. So, yeah.
I think the applied field is a really good thing to pitch to people because it allows you to get into whatever like industry you're interested in, whether it's, I mean, all of us have come from all over, whether it's like fashion or video or whatever you want to do, you can kind of like tailor Pcem to it, which was a huge selling point for me. Also, this might not be for everyone, but for me, the applied field was such a great thing too because I knew I wouldn't lose credits and time, which is expensive. So talking about that was really helpful for me when I was switching.
I'm having trouble trying to answer this question because I came to Stout, and joined the Pcem program right away. But I think that one of the things that maybe you could sell is that I totally changed what I wanted to do several times throughout, my college experience. But I stayed in the program the whole time because I had that flexibility to kind of explore those options.
Yeah, that's so true.
Definitely.
I just got the marketing line says, change your mind, not your major.
That's really good. Yeah.
You got it.
Like that.
Thanks for that, crew. Awesome stuff.
So I've got a similar question, unless someone else does. Ooh, yeah. Jolene just took it the next step. Change your mind, not your major. Change your life. Oh, that's good. All right, we're on our way. Marketing collateral is being produced right here, right now. Are there some other questions from the room? If not, the fact that it's 4:57 means I'm going to take the last question. And it's similar to John's. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be meeting with our incoming prospective students, those who are impossibly trying to replace you, but they're going to try. So I'm going to have a chance to meet with them in some live sessions during the summer as they're doing you'll remember your freshman registration and orientation.
Mm-hmm.
What would be, give me some of those really insightful nuggets so that I can say not this is your program director telling you, but for me, take it from these wise, experienced graduates. Give me a little nugget for these. These are students who just had their senior year ripped away from them, and they're coming to college in these uncertain times. No pressure.
I kind of talked about this in my presentation a little bit, but the one thing that I needed to hear was like, don't do stuff because you feel like you need to put on your resume or because you have to, because everyone is pushing down your throat when you're a freshman to get involved. And like, you shouldn't get involved with stuff that you don't actually enjoy, because there's so many things that you will enjoy. You just might have to create it for yourself, or, just, I don't know. There's just so many things you can do within Pcem. You don't have to join a publication just because you're in Pcem. You could start a podcast, or you could literally do anything and apply it, and speak about it in an interview. So don't do something because you think it's going to look good, because I mean, literally anything can be made to look good as long as you're building experiences.
Super wise.
One thing I will say, kind of adding on to that, is when I was a freshman, I was very nervous, stay in my room. You didn't really try and go out. I mean, the only thing I really did was the Stoutsonia. So I think the thing that I would recommend is to just not be afraid to step outside your bubble. I think if there's something that you want to do that's interesting to you, but you don't really know how to do it, I think that just step outside your bubble and do it. Whether it's studying abroad or starting a club or anything of that sort, because I think at the end of the day, that we all were talking about, I know we're all proud and glad of all the things that we've done. So I'll say that.
Yeah, and just speaking to Evan's point, I would say you have to promote individuality. So letting people kind of do what they want to do, and letting them know that they can do a lot of different things in this program, I guess. That was the main thing that I liked about it, was that I got a lot of things with it, and you can really, make it really personal to whatever you want to do. So yeah, promote individuality.
It's funny because I almost feel like this goes against sort of what everyone else has said, just a little bit, but because I agree that you shouldn't do things because you feel like you have to or whatever. But I also think that we should encourage the incoming students to try things that they even think sound dumb or or boring. I don't know, because I'm thinking about this technical writing internship, and I thought I wouldn't be able to do it. I thought I was going to get fired pretty much immediately. And two, it didn't really sound that fun, if we're being honest. I thought it was going to be, a pretty boring year, but it actually turned out to be, invaluable, and I got a great professional experience, and now I know how to use, complicated, authoring software, and it was super valuable. So I don't know. I don't think you should do things because, it's going to look awesome on the resume, but I don't know, sort of embrace some of that stuff maybe.
Yeah, kind of on that, Logan. My grandpa always said, like, sometimes you have to do things you don't like to do to learn what you do want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
yeah, so sometimes I mean, I have the same experiences. Some of the things that I didn't like to do, I learned that I, did. Some of the things that I've done, I've learned that I didn't like them, and it's launched me into new things. But also, I've had the same experiences as you, where like I thought I was gonna like something, and then I actually really loved it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's true. Just go into things with an open mind, I guess.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Summer, how about you?
I agree with everything. I mean, maybe tell them not to come in hell bent on doing exactly what they're coming in for. Like I was hell bent on going into business, but I sucked at math and I didn't get accounting. So be open minded, I guess, to new things.
Bryce, any final words?
Take the risk. I don't know. I think there's always things that we don't do because we don't think we'll be good enough, but Pcem is a really good starting point to learn more about anything.
Oh, I love it. Well, this I just scribbled all that down, and we have the recording to go back to. I'm super excited we have this chance to be together. And Rachel, I had forgotten that you had attended the first Pcem 5+8
Yeah.
4 years ago. And so how sort of appropriate, right? That it comes full circle for you. It's really great. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday, the virtual commencement. Invite everyone who's in the room listening. You can join as well. No tickets required this year, right? All the black market of Stout commencement tickets has been obliterated. Join the session 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. The link is there at the commencement page on the website. So again, just want to thank all 6 of you. Thank all 17 of you for graduating and everybody who came today to enjoy. I wish I could promise when you walk out of the room there'd be some punch and cookies in the hall for refreshments, but I couldn't set up delivery fast enough. So I hope you can find your own snack in the pantry and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks everyone again for being here. And we'll see you on Saturday.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.